My epoch. Please let me know if you can hear me in chat. Okay, so while I'm waiting for people to start coming in and get ready for the live stream, I'm just gonna go ahead and give you guys some updates about Sam. Okay, so um, I've learned a lot about her, and one of the things that I've learned is that in the mornings I've got to be able to give her a little bit of I got to give her a little bit of her playtime and and make sure that I have that bonding period with her in the mornings. So she's actually causing me to slow down a lot in the mornings because normally I just go to get and pick up and move on from camp and get on the road for the day. But with her, I've got to allow at least an hour to an hour and a half before we get up and get out of camp. And so, I've been lucky to be able to find some nice spots for us and for her. I'm also learning what's causing her to have a lot of the issues that she was having. The thing is she wants to do what it is that I want her to do. She's just not understanding, and so when I slow it down for her, she is able to understand much better. And so she has stopped dragging my pack all night, every night. Now, she will every once in a while have a lapse in judgment, but that's pretty much, for the most part, she does pretty well as far as dealing with, the noises and the sounds in the night and stuff like that. She actually she likes her blanket. So at night, when I'm ready for her to go to bed, I will take the Wooby that I used to use as my ground cover. That's now her blanket. And especially when it starts getting really cold, I just, go ahead and just wrap her up in it. And she stays in that for most of the night. And, I think that's part of what's helping her not go chase everything that goes bump in the night because she really enjoys her blanket and everything else like that. Okay, so it looks like it's been a couple minutes. It looks like we've got some people that are coming in. So let's go ahead and talk about the subject of, the government could end homelessness. Okay, and I do apologize, guys. I am at a McDonald's, and so you're going to hear some background noise. That's why I've got the headphones in to try and cancel that out as much as possible. So, anyways, let's talk about. Let's talk about the subject at hand. All right. So I had somebody, one of my subscribers that I have regular contact with because there are some of you that actually do send me emails and that I correspond with, whether it be on Patreon, whether it be through my website or through email. I end up corresponding with a lot of with some of you guys that reach out to me, and I just so you know, I really appreciate that when you guys do that. It lets me know that my content is being heard and that it's making an impact, and that people want to be able to offer their input, and I really appreciate that. And so one of the pieces of information that I got is I was warned that because being homeless and everything else like that, is that very shortly the government may get to a point where it gets tired of the homeless situation, and that is really where things are going to kind of get sticky. And so I have been collecting information and kind of doing my own little observance of what's going on, because I've got another subscriber that is sending me other information, showing me about how the migrants are being brought into the military. And so there is going to be a breaking point for all of this, and we're coming to find out that maybe all those migrants were coming across so that we could fill up our military, because apparently the American the young American now is too fat, too out of shape, and is more of a keyboard warrior than a physically fit individual, and so therefore we're having to import them, and then in a roundabout way, force them into indentured servitude by doing time in the military so that they can gain their citizenship. Lay down. So that they can gain their citizenship. And that's something that definitely could be. It looks like it's already unfolding for us. The other thing is what happens to us now if you to the homeless and to the travelers, to the nomads, to the dirty kids, anybody that wants to travel, wants to be homeless, wants to panhandle, wants to take on the services. Now the government is coming to a point where it's coming to its wits end. It does not, especially with what's going on the West Coast, what you see in LA. So the kids that I hooked up with in what was it, not Chattanooga, Nashville. The kids I hooked up in Nashville were telling me how, you know, uh, the freight trains, the intermodals are getting robbed, uh, going out of LA, and so that's causing issues. That's why things are coming up missing, and so it's getting to a point where it's complete lawlessness. And then also, if you look further north into my home state of Oregon, they have legalized every single drug. And so between what Oregon and what California is doing, Washington isn't doing much better. Washington, we had Chaz over there. You have the whole. It's almost as if the federal government has lost some. Ah, good morning, Gannon. Can you hear me? So it's almost as if it's almost as if they have taken this section of the country, and the government is losing its control because it's its furthest distance. Okay, and so with it being its furthest distance, um, it is harder for it to usurp its control. 3,000 miles away. It's the same problem that the British Crown had as well. So hold on one second. You lay down. Stay. So the British Crown as well, uh, they could not keep control over the colonies, and so therefore, it you know it was a lot easier for the colonies to be able to get their freedom because it was a long distance that the British had to travel. Plus, they were already in conflict in other areas, and so they had to pull troops away from other battlefields to be able to come and deal with the Americas. In the same way that the distance caused the issues to allow the American Revolution to happen, we are also seeing this happen on the West Coast. The West Coast is, in so many ways, no longer controlled by the U.S. government, at least based upon what it is that I am learning, in the stories that I hear from travelers that come from the West Coast. Good morning, Thomas. And so, what is happening is because the whole drug epidemic by California having its problems with Skid Row and LA, and then San Francisco with the needle issues, and then you've got Portland with BLM, and you've got all drugs legalized, and then you've got Chaz in Seattle, and so that the whole western seaboard, in order for the government to take control, what may end up having to happen is they may have to do something like what the Chinese did within their country, which is to outlaw all drugs, and all drugs could become the death penalty. Okay, and so this is something that we as the homeless or as travelers need to be aware of. You're gonna want to stay away from the West Coast as much as possible because in a lot of ways that's being a magnet for all of the riffraff that is going on in the country. A lot of these drug users will migrate from east to west so that they can, be in an area where it's safe to be able to do their dope and to be able to get it without issue and to be able to have some sort of right of recourse in hopes that, it will be a better environment for them and their drug use. So, this is just kind of from what people are telling me, from what I'm learning, this is kind of how I'm seeing this play out. And so what's going to end up happening is that the federal government is going to get so tired of what's going on the West Coast that they are going to start setting up homeless camps, and those homeless camps may end up spreading to the rest of the country because right now, according to, I think it was Johnny Bravo, is that the J.P. Morgan Chase says that in 6 months, the American person, the American consumer, will be in a worse off position than they were pre-pandemic, and that is something that is that it needs to be considered as far as how is homelessness expanding. because there's some sort of sex ring in tent setup, or at least there was. Yes, there are. This is actually becoming very common, and this is part of the reason why the police are having to come in and break up these camps. And so what's going to end up happening is that through the natural course of everything. So we have all of these pharmaceutical companies that are, the doctors won't admit it, but the doctors are getting some sort of compensation for writing specific prescriptions or using specific brands. They're getting some sort of reward for doing that. And so what ends up happening is that these doctors, because they think that they know everything, they're the smartest men in the universe, is that they come in there and they don't even really figure out what's wrong with you. They just go off of what you told the nurse, and they're already thinking of a prescription for you before you even walk in the door. Now, out of all those prescriptions written, there is a specific acceptable atrocity that happens, which is a certain amount of people are going to get addicted to them. A certain amount of people are going to have adverse effects to them. And so this is all taken into account by the pharmaceutical companies. And so therefore you're expanding the whole drug epidemic because of the natural attrition that happens through pharmaceuticals. And then you have also the people that are losing everything, because you lose your house, you lose your car, you lose your job, you lose your business. You lose every single asset that you have that is of value, that you may be able to sell in a pinch. You lose all of that, and then you're stuck out here, trying to figure out how to, get your feet back out, get your feet back under you. That's why I did the video on 5 businesses, because if you let it, you can sink into a depression, and when you sink into a depression, now your your desire not to do drugs or any type of dope, whether it be, you come out clean and sober, now all of a sudden you're in a fit of depression, you're like, somebody says, hey, you want to do some of this with me? And you're like, yeah, whatever, because you're living in the moment instead of realizing that, all things are temporary, and this is just a temporary situation. You just need to take a moment to be able to get yourself out of it, okay? And but a lot of people will not be able to see out of that, will not be able to see past the moment, and so now you're going to expand the drug epidemic even more that way. And plus, there are many other things that end up causing the drug epidemic to expand, but it's getting to a point because of the amount of misery, because the more miserable the country is, the more likely an individual is to increase their drug usage. I believe that they've even done a study on this, just to show like how crime and drug use goes through the roof when we do economic downturns, but then when we have an upturn, because everybody's making money, everybody's able to survive, crime goes down, drug use goes down, because it's about being miserable. And when you don't have a job, you don't have any income, you can't take care of yourself, your misery complex is going up. Okay, and so with all of these things that are compounding, plus the silent expanse of homelessness, this is going to get to a point where it's going to get out of control. And if you are, living within these communities, possibly even interacting within these communities, you may be subject to being swooped up and put into some sort of camp, some sort of homeless camp. They think of it like the FEMA camps. In the 90s, my great uncle, he was part of the remote viewing project, and people say he faked a mental breakdown. I don't think he did, because I got to know him, even if it was over a couple of days. And I don't think that he faked the mental breakdown. I think he did go a little nuts, but he owned property up in Washington that was next to a FEMA camp. And in the mid 90s, he was warning me, telling me that I needed to, that one day that they're going to start putting American citizens in those camps, and that I need to worry about it. Now, he was an Army psychic. He did have psychic abilities. He was able to perform. I just think that he saw more than he wanted to see, and therefore just kind of shut down for whatever reason it may be. And so I've been being told since I was, 15 years old, that that FEMA camps were coming and for us, and so I'm not shocked by all of this. But they have to be able to create a situation, a reason where the average person can justify it. Now, the negative propaganda that goes against the homeless, oh, they're bums, they're lazy, they don't want to do anything, they this, they that, they're all drug addicts, they're all derelicts and all this stuff. Now, this is propaganda. That's not true out here. It's much harder to live day to day than it is to have a job. And sometimes living day to day interferes with being able to have a job. And so therefore, a lot of people struggle with employment out here just because of how hard it is to be able to get basic resources, and the amount of waiting and time it takes to go through that process. Okay, so with all this negative propaganda that is going to be out there, and the average Joe getting caught up in this through no fault of their own because of incompetent government decisions, they're gonna have no choice but to start rounding us up and putting us in camps, for whether it be for because one of the main reasons they are able to break up homeless camps is because it's considered a health hazard. That's why when you set up camp, you should always, keep your camp nice and clean, because then they can't come in and say that it was a health hazard and use that as an excuse to break up your camp. So this is something important that you need to consider if you have to live outside, or if you want to go camp somewhere, is keeping your camp clean is important. If you want to keep your head below radar, and if you are one of the many that may end up coming out here to become homeless, this is something that you as individuals are going to want to take heed to, and to start planning your aversion. So that means even me, I only come out and panhandle a couple of days out of the week. I don't really do a lot of panhandling. I do it just enough to make sure that I can get me and the dog food and our basic resources so that we don't starve to death. But past that, I really kind of keep my head low, and I don't go out there and kind of act like a home bum and just constantly panhandle. That is just something that I think will keep me safe, because the less visible I become about it, and not only that, people know that, or think that I am clean and sober. I mean, you guys know I smoke my weed, but yeah, that's another good thing about Sam slowing me down in the morning, is I actually take time to have my morning wake and bake. And Cherokee, just so you know, you were right. Couldn't do this sober. So just so you know, I wanted to let you know that your donation went towards the right purposes. Or having 420 is hard. Yes, it is 420. It's hard when you're traveling from city to city. But one of the things that I think is going to, so I always talk about the problem. Now I offer a solution, and one of the things that I think would be a decent solution is, you want to constantly keep on the move, whether it be freight train hopping, you know, uh, it could be, taking trails. That's why I've talked about trails. So over the last year, I've showed you guys different ways to travel, where you can still be without a home and still blend into other communities. And part of blending into those communities is for your own safety. So when I get out hiking, I blend into the hiking community. When I was biking, I tried to blend in with the biking community. When I go and I ride rails, I try and blend in with that community. Um, yes, Cherokee, you're right. Um, but that's just something that I do, and I need to be able to have that versatility. So one of my subscribers over on Patreon asked me to explain and give real examples of adaptability, and I told her I would, and I think that this is a great way to be able to talk about adaptability. With adaptability, okay, I'm here in Sanford right now. Okay, can I ride rails? I'm probably gonna have to go a little bit further north, just because probably somewhere around DeBerry, if I wanted to be able to catch a train out of town, because it's just they have little commuter trains from Orlando out here. So right now, if I need to get out, how do I get out? Well, there is about 5 miles from here, and if I'm willing to go over a bridge, I can go over a bridge and jump right into the Florida Trail. So then I can start moving and kind of get out of the way of what's going on in the city. Okay, and or I could take my chances and go and hop a freight train, or do something along those lines. If I had a bike, but then the thing is, I have a dog, and having a dog with a bike, man, that'll be too much, not only for her but for me as well. So you also got to figure out who's coming with you. If you've got a family, hold on, excuse me. If you've got a small family, or a family with small children, your ability to be able to move large and long distances is going to be harder. So therefore, you're going to have to really figure out how to navigate yourself, around a lot of the stuff that's going. Maybe drive your car to the trailhead, ditch and abandon your car, and then go into the trail, and then just realize you're going to camp about every 10 miles. And just kind of move slowly with your family, but then you're going to have to really, keep an eye on security, because you're moving so slow with your small children, or even your animals, that the chaos that you left could slowly be creeping up on you if you're not able to get away from it in time. Okay, so as all of these things are kind of going on, this is just my suggestions on things that I think that you could do as an individual to not only skirt this, but to also be adaptable. When the moment calls for it, you need to be able to live in that moment. As far as hold on, Sam, lay down. You got to be able to live in that moment, versus trying to be like, oh well, I'm only going to do it this way. Because if you don't have that versatility, if you cannot adapt to the constant changing environment, and you guys, if you guys have watched me, for those of you that have been with me for the most of this year, you will see exactly what you've seen exactly what I'm talking about, because I've done multiple modes of travel, because the situation from Chattanooga to Cincinnati had to take a Greyhound, and so therefore the environment allowed me to get myself a Greyhound ticket so that I could get out of that city, because it was toxic for me. Well, when the winter came for Cincinnati, well, I couldn't walk fast enough, and I couldn't afford a bus ticket at the time. So my next best was to take a free ride on a freight train and get as far south as I could, as quick as I could, and then be able to, if I need to, therefore change or adapt again, therefore I could go back and I could, get back on trail, because I've been thinking about it, and or I could, get back on the rails, or I could, afford a bus ticket like I did from Jacksonville to Orlando, so that the dog and I didn't have to walk 4 or 5 days, because I don't think she would have survived. I would have probably come to my wits end with her really quick. Doing it the way that we've done it, and I'm trying not to overstimulate her. And so again, one other thing that you have to consider is who is traveling with you. Who do you who are you going to have with you? Is it just going to be you and your spouse? Is it going to be just you? Are there going to be children? Is it going to be a large family? Are you going to move in a group of friends? How is it that you're going to move? And then also, do you guys know how to be able to move cohesively? Because you have those that want to stay up all night, and then you have those that want to sleep in all day, and then you have those that want to walk slow or walk fast, or that are complacent or aren't prepared and things like that. And those are the people that that are going to make the whole experience miserable, one, and two, they're gonna cause security concerns, because they're now pulling on other individuals because they're not prepared. Okay, and so therefore, if you are planning on traveling with a group, should everything collapse, because I just watched an article, and I don't know how true it is, but Popular Preparedness was talking about how there are no more cargo coming in, or the ports are empty, and I find that a little hard. I mean, I know that the supply chain is going to break down, but it can't have broken down this bad this quick. and nobody be aware of it, or nobody be talking about it. I mean, we've had some moments where the supply chain has been stressed, but it still seems to function. Okay, so when you're out and you're planning on your excursion, expect that you're not going to have a car. Expect that you're going to have to be your own hamster wheel if you do a bike or if you do other modes of travel. Um, there's going to come a point when there the cost of fuel or the loss of or the dispossession of your assets, becomes an issue. Okay, so this is just, again, it's something to consider. Now, I've talked about the topic, and now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to open it up for questions. I'm going to go back and read. So I was suggested by somebody that I focus on the topic and then I come back and answer questions. So good morning, Cherokee. There's some sort of six. Yeah, okay, we talked about that. There's films that have been open since the early 90s are now closed. Oh, wow. Um, okay. Uh, uh, so, Hobo Thomas, you're able to get weed in Michigan dirt cheap. How cheap is cheap? What are you paying per gram? So, jobs are better. How are jobs better? I mean, right now you're having a lot of these unions that are striking now. So, okay, so it says there was a homeless guy in his 50s that lugged his own gear and worked at the labor ready. I told him that after being in the army, he'd be one of a few that could have faced and held his own. He could survive SHTF. Exactly. I mean, that's really, you've got to become self-sufficient, and I'm not even as self-sufficient as I need to be. I need to be able to get to a point where I can at least start doing traps and stuff like that. With her, on trail, it's going to slow me down enough because I can take days and learn a new. Learn a new skill set as far as doing that, because I set out one of the things I wanted to do when I first started was I wanted to start making primitive tools and start selling those for like set up a blanket and sell the tools for a few bucks a piece, just for people that want them as either souvenirs or actual usable stone tools. But that's something that you're going to definitely need. You need to be able to get to a point like the guy that I met in, was it Mount Zion Methodist Church, right outside of Andalusia on the Alabama Road Walk. The groundskeeper there. He taught the children how to live as if it was 1825. He replicated George Washington's fishing kit. All he needs is a string and a pocket knife, like the one that I had, and he could survive anything that comes, because he knows how to use every part of the animal to be able to make other tools out of, such as he used the hamstring from the deer to be able to make his bow and to make so that he could shoot his bow. He knew how to make his own arrows. He knew how to do all that stuff. You know, that's kind of that's kind of the way that you need to be preparing. If you're wondering, like, how do I prepare? How would you live as if there were no power and no public utilities whatsoever? That includes water, sewer, garbage, all of that stuff. How would you live if all of that shut down because there's not enough fuel to go around? Because once this war kicks into full gear between us and the rest of the world, one of the things that you've got to really expect is that fuel is going to become not only more expensive, but the military gets priority of the fuel over the civilian population. And so unless you're critical as part of the supply infrastructure, such as trains and trucks and military vehicles, you're at the bottom of the you're at the bottom of the list when it comes to being able to get fuel. And that may even cause public utilities to go out because there's not enough oil for whatever reason. There are different reasons and different ways in which all of this can happen. And so you need to be able to prepare that, how to live, not only your property, how to live there, because if there are a lot of you, I'm sure, have property, but also if you lose that property, do you still know how to go out there and live with your house on your back and whatever valuable possessions you want to carry with you that will keep you on the road? Are you prepared to survive out like that as well? Because and if you think that you're going to bring a gun, well, how hard is it going to be to find bullets? You're going to have to find people in cities that know how to make bullets, and there are very few people that know how to do it, and the government puts huge restrictions on those people as well. Okay, so does anybody have any questions either about me and Sam or about the topic at hand? This is I've shared my thoughts and what I think and stuff like that as far as the topic goes. As far as Sam goes, she's being good as long as I give her morning time. She slowly wakes up. She is learning a morning routine, and the best part is that she's not waking me up all night. She'll sit up. I made sure that I used the wax cardboard box I got from the Canadian Prepper by placing tarps and bungee cords and pegs. Camping gear is crucial. The wax cardboard box, I'm not aware of that. I would, for those of you that are interested in something like that, I would suggest you go look at Canadian Prepper and look at his shop about the wax cardboard box and see if it's something that you want to implement into your strategy. Okay, that's just one thing that you could do. So I got a question for you guys since I've got enough of you here. I So having YouTube, Sam is integrated into the channel in the sense that you guys get to see her, like when we go out on trail, when we go do stuff, I show a little bit of footage of her. But this is mainly a channel that talks about homelessness and prepping and, being prepared for Armageddon or the apocalypse or whatever it may be, okay? And with Sam, I think that I think that having footage for her just kind of expands, and maybe I should just, because I take clips of her throughout the day, and I've been adding them to the end of videos. Or do you guys think that I should just have a channel dedicated to her and make her YouTube famous, so whenever we're walking down the road, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's Sam the Tramp, something like that. What do you guys think? Do you think I should make something that's just dedicated? The fun side of things like homelessness, like Slab City, you get more views too. But homelessness isn't necessarily fun. It's okay. Let me walk you through my day. I wake up in the morning by a dog sniffing me and licking me and telling me it's time to wake up because she needs to go to the bathroom and she's hungry. So she knows, she's got this internal clock. She knows when it's time to eat, and so therefore she wakes me up and goes, okay, it's time to eat. And so then I take her off her leash and let her roam around so that she can use the restroom. And therefore I start packing up my sleeping bag, and I fill her dog dish with some water, and then she comes over, drinks some water, and then I continue packing up a little bit, and then I make her breakfast, and then she plays around and comes back to her breakfast, and it takes her probably a good half hour to eat her breakfast, and her and I sit and play around for a while. I mean, that's the fun part, but before her, I didn't have that fun. I mean, she's giving me the fun that I keep missing out on because I'm just a go type of person. And then we wake up, if you have the time for both, a channel devoted Sam would be good to try. Okay. And that was from The Natural Human. Okay, yeah, I think that's what I was thinking. And it's not real. There's not a lot of editing that goes into it too. It's compiling clips and just remembering to hit record when she's doing something cool or telling a story about her or whatever. But anyways, so once I get her packed up for the day, that's like an hour and a half. Then we come over here to the McDonald's, and I charge my phone, I charge my power blocks, I grab breakfast. and then for about, since Slacks showed me this sign, I'm making enough money to where I only have to be outside and panhandle or fly a sign for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours tops. Then yesterday after that, after we got done flying a sign, I had enough money to go buy her some food. I went and bought her some, not okay. You have your name brand high quality, and then you have your store brand high quality. And I went for the store brand high quality because it's generally made on the same factory line, just different branding put behind it. Um, about how you travel at night on the trails. But the thing is we don't travel at night. Once night comes, that's when we're hunkering down, and she gets really skittish at night. And so back on topic, is that is that once we get that done, then I gotta stop. I gotta pull out my backpack. I gotta water her several times a day, and then we gotta go and get resources, whether it be getting something to eat, whether it be getting inside out of the elements, or going and like I need to buy a pair of shoes. I'm considering buying a tarp, but I forget because I'm supposed to have a hammock that's coming to me, and I'm not sure if she said that it has that it has a rain fly or a mosquito net. So I want to get the tarp, but if the tarp will be good on the rails, but I'm trying to figure out the best way to be able to uh, to to set up my gear, because right now the little doggy saddlebag, I'm having issues with it. I took her over to Petco, and so yesterday, yeah, I took her over to Petco, and we I had them help me try and fit it, because the thing is it's almost like it's not long enough for her torso, and so it keeps riding forward, and it keeps loosening up, and so I've had to just go to the leash and just use that as a saddlebag. But then the thing is, as she goes along, it just starts going flop, and then it goes forward, and even though I'm trying to tighten it up, so I'm working on the pulley system on that. And another thing about it was that she doesn't put much tension on the leash when I have the pack on her, which is really nice for me because she walks at a decent pace instead of just yanking me along. But the thing is even with that minimal tension that she's putting on there, it's already started. I'm gonna have to go back in. I'm gonna have to re-sew up. So another thing I need to get is I need to get a sewing kit so that I can reinforce that the hook for that pack. But I mean, the pack is wonderful. It does exactly what I wanted it to do. It's just I'm struggling just to get it on Sam and keep it, because she'll walk and it'll be like this, and the next thing you know, it's like this on the side, and then it's like lean forward. And part of the reason why I took her off the hook off of that is because I was worried that if she tried to back out, she would be unleashed, and the way she does that sometimes around traffic, it could really put it could really she could get hit by a car if she's freaking out. So that is just something to consider. But it's we're always on the move. We're always doing something, whether it's me doing YouTube stuff, or whether we're traveling to and fro, or going and getting resources, or getting in the right place for resources. Those places, it's a busy day living out here, because you have to, you can only carry so much on you every day, and you have to go every few days and resupply, because you can only carry so much. A third of my bag is just her stuff, between her doggy pack until I can get that properly fitted on her, and also her brand new bag of dog food. I bought a 5 pound bag of dog food, so now I got to carry that around. And I was thinking about stopping and getting a book from my parents, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. Even once I get her pack on her, she can only carry so much, and I'm not going to buy like little small amounts of food. I'm going to buy her a 5 pound bag, and that's going to last her for about a week. So that way, once a week, I can make sure that I can go, get. It was like $13 for a 5 pound bag from Petco, and I'll show it to you guys when I get it. But I want to. One of the things that I was talking to them about at Petco is that she's going to be out on trail. She's got to have nutrients. Okay. So, but anyways, does anybody have any more questions? So, or if you made how-to videos about how to traverse at night on the trails. I, again, Cherokee, I will tell you, I've done it once on the trails. Um, it's no. I mean, if you have a headlamp, but then that headlamp only lasts for so long, and when your batteries die and you're on the side of a mountain, and yeah, no, it's very dangerous to do it unless you have a lantern or something like that. That would be something that I would suggest. So, but anyways, guys, you guys know how to help out the channel. Make sure you hit that like button if you have not hit that like button. Likes are free. Subscriptions are free. And if you want to know more in-depth stuff, I have hobo tutorials over on my Patreon, and I also have behind the scenes over there as well. Behind the scenes, it's $5 a month. The hobo tutorials with the behind the scenes is $10 a month, and those are different things that you can do if you want to support the channel. You also have my tip jar down below, and all the information is correct down there. But hey, guys, I want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of this community, and I will see you in the next video.